सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। हरिः ओम् श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्. We have completed up to 8th sloka in chapter 13, titled Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yogam. Today we will take up from sloka number 9th onwards. These slokas, starting from 8 onwards up to 12, they define values. 20 values are given in this particular chapter by Krishna Paramatma. These values are to be imbibed by the sadhaka to get sadhana chatushtaya sampannata, thereby to get the qualification to jnana yoga. So by acquiring these qualities, by acquiring these values, one can refine his mind, one can get the readiness to jnana yoga. So sloka number 9. Indriyardeshu vairagyam manahankara evacha janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha doshanudarsanam. Indriyardeshu vairagyam. This means mastery over sense organs, not to become slaves of sensory organs. Cha, moreover, anahankaraha eva, not to have ahankara. Janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha doshanudarsanam. There are, certain doshas in the human birth, that is janma, mrityu, jara, vyadi, dukkham. These are the 5 doshas which are part and parcel of this human birth. No one can avoid this. The birth you cannot avoid, death you cannot avoid, the old age you cannot avoid, then illness you cannot avoid, the pain and misery you cannot avoid. These are the doshas of human life. So one should realize and recognize these defects in the human life and try to understand the limitations of this human birth. So this is the sloka. We'll see the values. Indriyardeshu vairagyam. This is otherwise called Indriya Nigraham, Damam. These Indriyas are the great boon from God to all of us. Only with these Indriyas we can do our transactions in the day-to-day life. There are 2 kinds of Indriyas, as you know, Pancha Jnanendriyas and Pancha Karmendriyas. Pancha Jnanendriyas, they collect information from the world and bring it to the mind. Pancha Karmendriyas, on the contradictory, they work towards the world and they help us in day-to-day transactions. These Indriyas, they help us if you have control on them, if you can use them as per your choice. On the contrary, if you become slave of these 5 Indriyas, then the life becomes ruined. You will not grow spiritually. Rupa Rasa Gandha, Sparsa Rupa Rasa Gandha, all these Pancha Tanmatras, all these Vishayas, Indriya Vishayas, will lure the sadhaka. Suppose you glue your eyes to TV, then you lose a lot of time and you cannot afford to concentrate on spiritual life. Similarly, if you are used to gossip, sitting in park or going to people and gossiping, this will again hinder your spiritual growth. So like this, each indriya will lure the sadhaka so that he cannot have quality time. On the contrary, if you can have control on your indriyas, you can definitely utilize your time properly and then grow spiritually. Yatato hyapi kaunteya purushasya vipaschitaha indriyani pramadhini haranti prasabam manaha. So, these indriyas are very powerful. If you are not careful, they will make you a slave. You may become a slave to a TV. Sometimes you may become slave to coffee or drinking, like this. Simple coffee drinking becomes an addiction. People cannot, tolerate if they cannot have coffee. So like this, they know there are so many addictions because people do not have control over indriyas. So these addictions are because they allow indriyas to rule over them. So if you have control on indriyas, your spiritual life will be very smooth and you progress and you get sadhana chatushtaya sampannata. This is the 10th value given by Paramatma, Indriyardeshu Vairagyam, mastery over sensory organs, Indriya Nigraham, otherwise called Dhamam. Anahankaraha means not having ego. Ego means pride, feeling that you are great, vanity. We have Amanitvam, Anahankaram. They appear same, there is a subtle difference. Amanitvam is a mental expression. Amanitvam is a manasika vyaparam, thinking that you are great at the mental level. Then ahankaram is expressing this in words. Aham iti karanam ahankaraha. If a person is egoistic, he will express it in so many ways. So he will tell this in so many ways. He wants a special place wherever he goes. He wants people to respect him. He should be given a special type of treatment for him in the group. Like that, he will always connect himself with a high esteem. If somebody says in America it is, having snow at this time, then this egoistic person will say, when I went to America, there was no snow. It is not necessary that he should tell this. This is only to show that he also went to America. So this way, all his words are confocal to his greatness, his status, and his achievements, and his greatness. So it is always the self-trumpet he blows. He always blows his self-trumpet. So you should not have pride in mind, in word, and in deeds. This is the 11th value, anahankaraha. Then the next one is janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha doshanudarsanam. You should not have too much of attachment to the body. You should not be body oriented, because in reality you are beyond the body. If you are body oriented, if there is a slight change in the body is subject to decay, it is subject to change, subject to destruction. If you don't realize this, then there will be a kind of depression that you will be subject to. The people who are beautiful, the people who are handsome, they face this kind of difficulty because people praise them that they are beautiful or handsome. They are used to those words. When they get old age, especially in the glamour field, those people, they cannot accept old age. they will have a real mental agony when the old age comes galloping. So if you have attachment towards the body is bound to have 6 modifications. That is part and parcel of the body. Asti jayate vardate viparinamate apakshiyate vinasyat. So you cannot avoid, you cannot stop it. In spite of your makeup, the body decays, and no matter how the makeup will be, you cannot hide the old age. So this fact that body is subject to modifications, one must digest thoroughly and accept the old age. So we have 5 different problems in the human birth: Janma, birth; Jara, old age; Vyadi, illness; Mrityu, death; Dukkham. These are the 5 kinds of defects we have in this human birth, which are part and parcel of this human birth. No one can avoid this. Janma you cannot avoid when it is bound to happen. Once you are born, you grow and grow and grow and finally grow old. Vyadi, in the course of this human life, one is bound to get illness. You cannot afford to have the healthy body throughout your life. In spite of your efforts, even though you are doing yoga asanas or you can adopt any kind of system, but this body is bound to get illness, because that's the package. In the old age, the generation of cells rate will decrease compared to the death rate of the cells. So the resistance will go down, and the person is subject to illness. So Vyadi is a compulsory and unavoidable defect, dosham, in this human life. Mrityu, death. Death is also a consequent modification in the human body. Then Dukkham. Along with all these defects, we have a pain and misery because of the situations, because of some people, because of your own expectations, because of not achieving your own expectations. There are so many reasons why you get dukkham, why you get sorrow. So dukkham is also a part and parcel of this life, which you cannot avoid. So 5 things in the human birth: Janma, Jara, old age. Janma means birth, Jara, old age; Vyadi, that is illness; Mrityu, death; Dukkham, that is sorrow and pain. So this you should understand, and you can sustain, you can accept and accommodate these defects as a part and parcel of your life only and only if you do not have dehabhimanam, if you do not have too much of attachment towards your body. If you have so much of attachment towards the body, then you are bound to get this mental agony when you get illness. The 12th value is Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, Dukkha, Doshanudarsanam, Anudarsanam. So, you should understand this is part and parcel of this life. So, I have to put up with this. So, this is the value, not having too much of attachment towards the body, not to be body oriented. Then the 10th sloka. Asaktiranabhishwangaha putradara gruhadishu nityam cha samachittatvam ishtanishtopapatishu. Putradara gruhadishu. Putra means children, dara means wife, gruha means house, adi. Adi means etc. Asakti, not having too much of attachment. One must be detached. Anabhishwangaha, mamata rahityam. I and mine syndrome should not be there. Ishta nishtopapattishu. Ishta and anishta. When you acquire a thing of your choice, when you acquire a hatred thing, nityam samachittatvam. You should have equality and equanimity. So, this doesn't mean you should not love your children and your wife and your family. That is not the idea to be carried home. Our Swamiji often says, when your grandson comes to you for love, you should not avoid him. You should not say, don't come near me. Swamiji told me not to have attachment towards wife, children and house. That is not the thing. Not to have too much of attachment. This is what we call asakti. As a gruhastu, you should love your family members and you should know where you can draw the line. Suppose they want to pursue higher studies and want to go abroad, you should not stop. You should not say, I cannot bear your separation. And if your son wants to get promotion and wants to get transferred to a different place, wants to go away from you, you should not stop. So this is how you have to understand the life. If you have too much of attachment, then you will have the problem. You may get some heart attack also if the people go away. So this is what the person may get heart attack also if he has too much of attachment towards children, towards his grandchildren. So sometimes wife and husband also. Wife will be working somewhere, husband will be working somewhere. So here this too much of attachment will cause a problem. So this is what we have in this asakti means mano nigraham. In the earlier sloka, indriya nigraham is suggested, here mano nigraham is suggested. Karmendriyani sanyamya ya aste manasa smaran indriyardhan vimudatma midhyachara savuchyate. So, it is not simply enough if you have control on indriyas. You should also have control on your mind. Mind control is very, very important. Unless you have mind control, you cannot have indriyas under your control. So, raga dvesha viyuktaistu vishayan indriyaischaran atmavasyair vidayatma prasadabadi gacchati. If he has mental control, even if he has a thing of his choice right in front of him, it will not create any agitation in him. If it is away also, he is not worried. If he is right in front of him, also he is not tempted. So, if you have this indriya nigraham, damam and samam, this is a great asset for a sadhaka. And he can definitely pursue his spiritual life very smoothly. This is the 13th value, asakti. That is having detachment towards his family members and the possessions. Gruhadishu means the house and other household things and other properties. You may be having lots of desire to acquire property, acquire so much of wealth. So if you have asakti means if you have the detachment, then that time can be devoted to spiritual. Otherwise, what happens if you are having too much of attachment for mopping up of money and mopping up of wealth and prosperity, then you will not have any time for spiritual endeavor. All the time your mind thinks of how to multiply your money. You think of stock market, you think of various ways of investment and the returns. Your mind is full of the figures. Putra daradishu anabishwangaha. These two words you have to read together. Putra dara gruhadishu and anabishwanga, they are not two values. They are just one value. Anabishwanga means too much of attachment, over attachment. So, in the earlier case, asakti means manonigraham, that's what we told. He is further elaborating this. Not to have too much of attachment towards your family and the property. This is the 14th value. 13th value, asakti. 14th value is putra dara guhadishu anabishwangaha. Not to have too much of attachment towards wife, children, grandchildren, then household property like this. Chinmayananda often says, alone to alone, all alone. We are born alone. We are not born together with the family members. And at the fag end of the life, we have to go alone. None of the people go with their family and property. Nothing comes with you. You have to go empty-handed. That's what Alexander the Great gave a message. When he dies, he wanted to have his coffin, keeping his hands outside the coffin, so that people understand Alexander the Great did not take a penny with him when he died. So that kind of philosophical outlook he got when he was about to enter into India. So you cannot carry anything once you die. So this much of understanding one should have when there are so much of crazy about acquiring money. So that time, if they spend in spirituality, and this investment is much superior to the investment of your time into mundane achievements. Nityam samachittatvam cha ishtanishtopapatishu. So, you may face different situations. Sometimes a favorable situation, sometimes a situation which is not favorable to you. Ishta, anishta, upapatti. Upapatti means when it arrives, when it happens. Samachittatvam, you should have samabhavana. You should have equal treatment. Whatever comes will not stay. Even this will pass away. If it is good, that also will not stay. If it is bad, that also will not stay. Everything is a passing stage. So even this will pass away. So that understanding you should have. So if you have something which is of your choice, if you happen to get, usually people feel so much elated and they lose balance. And they think that they are in the top of the world and they ignore people, they try to insult others and all that. Once you reach the top of the victory, once you achieve the highest victory, you feel you are great, others are small. If you feel you are great, that's not an issue, but you think that others are inferior, others are insignificant, and you start insulting others, there comes the issue. So here, ishta anishta upapatti. So having acquired ishtavastu, you would like to have it. for good, which is not possible. Anishta vastu you want to avoid, but that will not happen. It will stay right in front of you. You booked a beautiful bungalow for outing, seeing that in Google. So you have booked it and you went there. You have spent a lot of money to go there. You flew to that place and reached the place. And the bungalow is designed so nicely in a real nature. Nature at its best. So you want to see how the nature, and you went to balcony. And you notice that the balcony is facing a graveyard. And somebody brought a dead body. And they are doing the ritual. So, anishta vastu prapti. Ishta anishta vastu prapti. So if you want to avoid, you cannot avoid. You have already booked and you have to spend a day or two as per your booking. So this is what happens in our life. Whatever you want may not occur. It may not happen so smoothly. Life is full of happiness and unhappiness. So this is what you should understand. Dukkha doshanudarsanam. It is full of dukkha misritatvam. We have that bandhakatvam, dukkha misritatvam, atruptikaratvam, all these defects we have. So here Paramatma is saying that ishtavastu prapti, anishtavastu prapti. Ishtavastu prapti is there, but you have to hold it for good, which is not possible. Anishtavastu prapti you want to avoid, but you cannot. So in both the situations, you must maintain equality. Samachittatvam. Your mind should not get agitated. Even this will pass away. So that should be your mentality. Avasyam bhavi bhavanam pratikaro bhavet yadi tada dukkair nalipyeran nalarama yudhishtaraha. Tada dukkair nalipyeran nalarama yudhishtaraha. If you can avoid a bad situation, if there is a possibility, then Nala Maharaja would have avoided, then Rama would have avoided, Yudhishthira would have avoided. They all face difficulties. When you are in this human body, you are bound to face dukkham. So whatever happens, whatever is in your prarabdha, you must undergo. You have no choice at all. This life is full of dualities. So if you want to have smooth life, you cannot avoid them. You can have a better approach by shifting to Atma channel. That is by doing Jnana Yogam and Karma Yogam, you can address this situation. The bad situation cannot be avoided, but you can face them boldly and wisely by taking up Karma Yogam and Jnana Yogam. In Karma Yogam, what is the understanding? You do your work with Ishwararpana Buddhi. Whenever you are doing a work, you do it with an understanding, I am going to dedicate this to Ishvara. So you take up all dharmic works and dedicate it to God. When you are dedicating it to God, you do it with full vigor and enthusiasm, without diluting it, without losing any kind of interest and zeal. Then once you finish your work, automatically you get the result. You are bound to get karma phala. The karma phala may be in your favor. Whatever you are expecting may occur, or it may not occur. If it doesn't occur, doesn't matter. Sometimes it occurs. Sometimes it occurs exactly in opposite direction, which will cause pain to you. You feel so bad. I did my work so perfectly, so meticulously. Why should I get this result? Why me? This kind of syndrome will bother you. So if you are a karma yogi, then you accept the karma phala as Ishvara prasadam. So Ishvara prasada buddhi. When it is Ishvara prasadam, I don't brood. I will accept it with grace and a smile. So this Ishvara arpana buddhi while you are doing work, Ishvara prasada buddhi while accepting the karma phala. This is karma yoga. So being a karma yogi, you will not have any problem. And beyond this, jnana yogi feels that he is Atma. For Atma, there is no issue, there is no dukkham, there is no pain. So if I am Atma, I don't have this. I don't have Ishtam, I don't have Anishtam. So Ishta, Anishta, Vastu Prapti will not matter me. When should it happen? Nityam. Nityam, you should have that samachittatvam. You can have that equality by karma yogam and jnana yogam. This is the 15th value which is very important for our day-to-day smooth life. The value, once again I tell you, Nityam samachittatvam ishta anishta upapattishu. So let us see all the 15 values quickly. The first value Paramatma mentioned is amanitvam. Amanitvam means not having any pride. Manitvam means pride. Manitvam means feeling that one is great. Atmani pujatva bhavana. This is what we said. Amanitvam means humility. Vidya vinayam dadati. That kind of vinayam is called amanitvam. Then adambitvam. Amanitvam is a mental aspect of feeling that greatness. In his mind he feels that he is great. So mind is the real culprit which exhibits through words and through actions. First value is amanitvam, next value is adambitvam. Adambitvam means expressing this pride in terms of action. Vyakta manitvam. Manitvam means pride. Amanitvam means not having pride. That is vinayam or humility. Dambitvam. Dambitvam means he feels great. So this greatness he expresses through his words and through his deeds. This is called dambitvam. So vyakta manitvam is called dambitvam. Avyakta dambitvam is manitvam. So there is a slight difference between manitvam and dambitvam. Manitvam is mental aspect, dambitvam is exhibition of this manitvam. So one should be having amanitvam and adambitvam. Amanitvam means not having any pride in the mental level. Adambitvam is not to exhibit the pride, not to exhibit his greatness. To be very simple. That is the idea. Then the third value, ahimsa. Himsa is the value which you have to curtail. There should be no himsa from sadhaka mentally, verbally or physically. You should not think of any harm to any person, to any living being, even mentally. And you should not harm by your words. You should not create himsa by your words. When you talk, you should not hurt people. So that is vachika tapas. Then by your action, you should not hurt people. You should not beat. You should not create any harm physically. So ahimso paramo dharmaha. This is the third value which one has to observe. And the fourth value is shanti. Shanti means forbearance, tolerance or patience. We have, this life is full of ups and downs. There is a very possibility that you lose balance. So you should try to uphold your emotions. You should have absolute control over your emotions. And you should have titiksha, Shraddha Saburi. This is what we see in Shirdi Baba's temple. This Saburi or titiksha or patience is a very important thing. So this is a value we should observe. Then fourth value, the Shanti. Shanti means patience or the forbearance. This is called accept and accommodate. Arjavam. Arjavam means rizutvam, to have unity in your mind, in your word and in your action. Whatever you think, you must talk and you must do. Manasyekam, vachasyekam, karmanyekam, mahatmanam. Manasi anyat, vachasi anyat, karmani anyat, duratmanam. So, there should be a coordination, there should be a symphony in your mind, the word and action. There should be harmony and symphony in all three. That is manas, vak and karma. This is what we call arjavam. Then acharyopasanam. You learn your shastra through acharya and you are benefited thoroughly. Your life is given a direction and you can achieve moksha in this life itself. Is a great achievement. So you should do susrusha to Guru. This is what we call acharyopasana. You should respect and you should do some susrusha to Guru. This is called the sixth value, acharyopasana. Then the seventh one is saucham. Saucham means cleanliness or purity. This cleanliness or purity can be divided into two. The external purity or cleanliness or internal cleanliness. External cleanliness is now keeping your body clean, like taking bath every day, not using perfumes. Some people, they don't take bath every day, they simply use perfumes, which is not correct. And internal purity or internal cleanliness is to purify your mind, chitta suddhi. This is the seventh value called saucham, bahya suddhi and antara suddhi. Stairyam. Stairyam means a steadfastness. Come what may, I should achieve this. This kind of stubbornness. This kind of a determined mind. We have already mentioned this. Bhartruhari gave a beautiful sloka in this context. Prarabhyate na khalu vigna bhayena nichaihi. Prarabhya vigna vihitaha viramanti madhyaha. Vignaihi punah punarapi pratidhanyamanaha. Prarabdha uttama janaha na parityajanti. So there are three kinds of people: nicha, madhyama and uttama. These lowest category people, they don't take up a task for the fear of facing obstacle. So they don't want to face any kind of obstacle, so they don't take up a job. One person said, I am always victorious, I never failed. Then the other person asked, how come it is so? Everybody is born to face failure and then he grows on the failures. He will correct himself and refine himself and grow. That is the life. How can you say that you are victorious 100%? Then the person immediately said, I don't take up a work. So the Nietzsche is like this. Then the mediocres, the middle-level people, they take up a work and stop it in between whenever they face a difficulty. The noble or the high-profile people, the victorious people, they do face difficulties. In spite of difficulties, they overcome the difficulties, obstacles, and achieve the success. So this is stairyam, steadfastness, is the eighth value. Then ninth value is Atma Vinigraha. Atma Vinigraha means having control over body and indriyas. So, to achieve this, one must do asana, pranayama, pratyahara, all these activities and have control on the body and indriyas. So we have Ashtanga Yogam suggested by Patanjali Maharshi. This is helpful for Atma Vinigraham. This is the ninth value to be followed. Then the 10th value which we have seen today, Indriyardeshu Vairagyam. This is what we call Damam, having sensory control. The senses are the most difficult thing for a sadhaka to have his sadhana properly. To have his sadhana properly, he must control indriyas. So this Indriya Nigraham is very important. This is called Damam. Damam is an important value. Then this value, Damam or Indriyardeshu Vairagyam, detachment towards Indriyas, Indriyardhas, is the 10th value. The 11th value is Anahankara, not to have any kind of ego. Ego is expressed through words. If a person is egocentric, you cannot control him. Every word which comes out of his mouth is full of ego. So that ego must be, processed. Ego is very dangerous for a sadhaka. So anahankaram, not to have egoism, not to be egoistic. 11th value. This is 12th value. Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi Dukkha Doshanudarsanam. So we have got 5 defects: Janma, Jara, Vyadi, Mrityu, Dukkham. So these doshas, these defects are bound to happen in a human life. So you should know the limitations of the human life and try to accommodate this. So this Anudarsana means accept and accommodate this when you are in human birth. This is the 12th value. Then the 13th value is Asakti. Asakti means having a detachment, not to have Ragam and Dvesham. Then the 14th value is Putra Dara Gruhadishu Anabhishwangaha. This is over-attachment towards children, grandchildren, and wife and family, etc., and possessions. You should not have too much of attachment on these things, mundane things. So if you have that asangatvam means whenever it is required, you have to show love. Asangatvam doesn't mean you should not show love. You can show love towards your family members, and whenever it is your responsibility, you have to fulfill the responsibility, being a gruhastha, so that you should not shirk by saying this value. Only thing is, you should not be too much attached and lose your direction. These things are, incidental to you in this life. So you should know that you are traveling in a train. People come and people depart whenever their destination come. If you develop attachment, you will end up in trouble during the journey. But you will be transacting with them. You will exchange what good things. You can also share your food with them. Like that, Putra Dara Gruhadishu Anabhishwangaha. Anabhishwangaha means you participate. You will have your full participation. You will share love. You give love. And yet you maintain that asangatvam. This is what we mean by Putra Dara Gruhadishu Anabhishwangaha. The 14th value. The 15th value which we have learnt in this class is Ishta Anishta Upapattishu Nityam Samachittatvam. So Ishtavastu Anishtavastu Prapti. You get a thing of your choice You are so happy, but you don't want to lose it. It happens. And you don't want a thing, and you're so unlucky that the thing of your hatred, a thing which you don't like at all, you have to bear with it. You have to live with it sometimes. So, ishta, anishta, upapatti means prap. Nityam samachittattvam, to have, that equality, you have to treat them equal. You should maintain the balance. You should maintain the composure. Anishta vastu and anishta vastu. This is the 15th value. More 5 values are there, which we are going to learn in the next class. Om Tat Sat Sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.